But how about Portugal winning the Nations League? Cristiano Ronaldo scoring the goal that takes them eventually to penalty kicks. I don't want to. We have to make it all about Cristiano because it drives traffic. But before we get to that, can we talk a little bit about Portugal as a team battling back? Nuno Mendes monstering everybody, starting with Lamine Yamal.
Yeah, incredible performance from Nuno Mendes, the best left back in the world. We said that before. His 2025 has been just so impressive. The progress that he's made defensively and offensively was always very good anyway. But defensively to stop basically Lamine Yamal in this game, like he did with Salah and Saka in the knockout stages of the Champions League, and to a certain extent, whoever played on his side in the final against Inter has been exceptional. And in this game, he scored the first goal, he set up the second goal, and he was very good again defensively against Lamine. So an incredible performance from him. I
mean, I guess Lamine put in that cross that led to the goal. Other than that,
and that was even like a second phase of that cross. It's not even direct.
And you said, okay, I have to give credit here. You said, I did not believe he was the best left back in the world. Now I'm genuinely wondering about this.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a completeness to his game that wasn't necessarily there before. Again, Cristiano fans, we'll get to Cristiano. We will get to Cristiano. But I want to talk about Spain because I'm looking at this and they're just so deep, and they have this. I don't like when we talk about things like mentality, knowing how to win, blah blah blah, because it seems like it's always an excuse one way or the other. But this is still really impressive. You play this wild game in the semifinal, you gut it out, you go into the final. Maybe you also have some players missing, and then in the end, yes, you concede the equalizer. But you were there and you outplayed Portugal, I saw, for much of the game.
Yeah. And I think on another day they win. And I like what De La Fuente said after the game, because it was, again, the question about success or not success. And he said, listen, when you're in the final and you can win and there's a possibility for you to win a trophy, that's success in itself. Yeah, we lost today. We're already looking at the World Cup anyway, as in now he said this was not too important. But of course, he would have rather winning it. But yeah, I just thought both in the semi-final and in the final, the way they managed some games, and it was not perfect, but the way they managed some times in those games, collectively how strong they still are, plus the individual talent that they have. Even Oyarzabal, who is not the most flashy, the most sexy player, right? We all agree.
It's big game Oyarzabal to
Massive, goal scoring in finals, Oyarzabal. And he doesn't always win them, as in he didn't win this one, or didn't win the Olympics one where he scored, or the last Nations League final against France where he scored. But still, he's there. And so they are a complete team. And yeah, they're still not there yet completely, because I don't think... Again, they showed some weaknesses in that game against Portugal, in the game against France, against the Dutch in the quarterfinals of the Nations League too. But they still can be so impressive at times.
Yeah. So for me with Spain, I don't think it's a case that they are the most talented team in terms of if we go 1 to 50, maybe they are, maybe alongside France. If we go 1 to 11, most of the time, and they have a lot of interchangeable players, I don't know that there is that much individual talent. Sure, if Rodri gets back to his best, and whatever,
Pedri,
right?
Yeah, they have
and Pedri. Still, but I don't know that it's that much. I don't think that it's on a par with France or with Belgium possibly, or maybe even Portugal. However, in terms of as a unit, they look like a club side. And to me, that is the highest praise you can give a national team. And they can beat you in different ways. And that's why I was so impressed. Talking about impressed, and we will deal with this more on the Gab and Juls podcast, but just to give us a flavor, does Cristiano's goal that ultimately is responsible for them winning, that and Morata's missing penalties, does that vindicate his decision to start Cristiano and leave him out there for so long?
I don't think so. I'm sorry. I know he scored again. He played 88 minutes before having to come off for cramps. It looked like, I hope not an injury, but cramps. 88 minutes, one touch in the box, which is the goal. And arguably, he's right there, but he gets a bit lucky, but he's right there. But it's not enough. You can't play with 10 players like they did with him.
I thought he actually played better in the semi-final. All right, sticking with that Cristiano goal, since we're talking about left backs, we were talking about Nuno Mendes before.
Yeah.
Somebody who again, I still have my issues with him. He has improved tremendously.
Yeah.
He's a European champion. Much respect to that. He's a Conference League champion as well.
He is indeed.
Marco Correa gets roasted by a 40-year-old on this. I mean, he gets absolutely schooled.
Yeah.
The cross comes in. I don't know what he's doing. I would have thought in that situation, you either read the flight of the ball better and you try to get there before Cristiano, or because Cristiano's taller and much better in the air than you are, you just put off Cristiano.
Yeah,
he seems to
exactly.
do neither.
Yeah, I think he might be surprised by how the ball ends up there because it's just not so straightforward. He doesn't read it well. Maybe he's too obsessed with Cristiano being there and him having to mark him and not really looking enough at the ball, or the other way around. Maybe he's just looking at the ball too much, not seeing Cristiano there and misreading the trajectory of the ball. It's a terrible goal to concede, really, especially when you're 2-1 up and really you have the game under control pretty much. So well done to Cristiano. But I guess this is the thing about Cristiano, that he will never lose, obviously, because as we said, one touch in the box for the whole 88 minutes that he was on the pitch, but that's the one that counted the most, right? Is that one the goal? So for Cucurella, on the other hand, it's a terrible goal to concede.
So Cristiano made it look extremely easy, and this is always the argument with him, and why, people put some of our video from the last show out there, and the things you give up when Cristiano's there, and the things that you still have. The way I see it, this is kind of the view I've settled on about Cristiano, is, all right, when Cristiano's out there off the ball, if you're going to press, you're going to do work, you're down a man. And it's fine. You can be down a man, as we said. The problem is, if you also want Rafael Leao out there, and you really should want Rafael Leao out there, this Rafael Leao, you're also down a man.
Yeah.
Because, not that he's not willing, it's just that, he doesn't have the discipline, he doesn't have maybe the concentration, whatever it is, right? People have been trying to solve the Leao conundrum for a long time. And you can't be down 2 men and win championships. No. It's really, really difficult. The other thing, I think, with having Cristiano out there, the other argument for Cristiano out there is also the alternatives. Because you mentioned Gonzalo Ramos. Okay, it's a guy who comes off the bench for Paris Saint-Germain, for a team that I think plays a different brand of football in some ways.
Yeah.
In other ways, you could make the point, hey, look, 2 of the 3 guys in midfield for Portugal could be, might be, should be 2 of the 3 guys who are in midfield for Paris Saint-Germain, right?
Yeah.
So that should make it easier. But obviously the movement's a bit different, and some people also question how good he is. I mean, you could go back to Diogo Jota if he's fit at center forward. I think that's a viable option. He'll give you the pressing.
I agree.
Or if you're going to have a guy who doesn't do stuff off the ball, why not put Leao up there and let him be the guy who doesn't do stuff off the ball? Yeah. And then the other guys win it back. Your option out of those 4 would not be Cristiano.
No,
it would
I'm sorry. And again, I've got nothing against Cristiano. It's just like out possession. He can't press. He can't run so much anymore. I understand that. But in possession, he's also a passenger, as we've said. His
link-up play.
Link-up play
and no
is
threat
almost
behind.
non-existent. There's no more. So he's just there if the ball comes into the box for him to score. So he did it in this game, great. But there will be a lot of games where he won't do it. And in a year time, for the World Cup, he'll be 41. He'll be a year older even than what we've seen now. And he's not going to get better. And he's probably not going to stay at the same level. At that age, you don't. Playing another season for Al Nassr. I've got nothing against Al Nassr and the Saudi League, but that's not going to help him much either to even stay at this level. And I'm not even sure this level is good enough for World Cup. It was not good enough for the last Euros, and it was not good enough for the last World Cup. So why would he be good enough for the World Cup in a year? If the World Cup was in 2 weeks and you said to me, okay, he's got a bit of momentum, he scored 2 in 2 Niners, I would say, okay, maybe. Let's wait and see, and I would be happy to be wrong because he's one of the GOATs. But in a year time, really? Who can tell me now that in a year time he can go to the World Cup and smash it in the US, Mexico, and Canada? No, it's not going to happen.
I think for me, the discriminant is also, we talk about this, in the national team, you do not have time to coach.
Yeah.
You do not have time to coach, work on tactical systems, work on systems that might allow you to have Cristiano up there and maybe do more sophisticated things than just getting the ball into the box. You might even be able to reach Rafael Leao and say, hey, Rafa, why don't you do this and that on the wing? And then we can have, Uncle Cristiano out there. Roberto might have that if they get a training camp ahead of the World Cup in
Yeah.
2 weeks, but it's still a really, really big ask. And in the meantime, and I think that's what he's hoping for. And I think, Roberto, I think this is what he's playing towards. So you keep Cristiano involved. You've just won the Nations League, right?
Yeah.
Keep him involved, qualifying here and there, whatever. And then at the World Cup, you've already shown, because Fernando Santos did the heavy lifting for you.
Yeah.
If it's not working in the 2 weeks in training camp, if you cannot come up with a system that you're happy with, I would like to think that Roberto does what is best for the team and makes that decision.
Yeah, yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. A year is so long in football. I know it's so short, but so long as well. We say that all the time. And we will see. There's a lot of things that can still happen, but I don't see it.
Speaking of teams and center forwards, Alvaro Morata, of course, missed the penalty at the end. Some suggestion that, maybe obviously captaining the team, maybe should be taking a step back. Where do you stand?
I mean, the fact that he didn't start either of the two games, the semi-final against France and the final, that Oyarzabal has done so well in the two games, that Dani Olmo can also play there. I know he was good at the Euros, but doing the kind of work that he does, and he's good, so good technically that his linker play, to go back to linker play, is very interesting for this team. I wonder if just mentally and psychologically it's been so tough for him to be in the national team. He was criticized a lot even before they won the Euros. He was abused online a lot before they won the Euros, after they won the Euros, again last night after coming off the bench and missing that penalty. And to be fair, it looked like he was going to miss. On television, I looked at him and said, like, there's just no way he's going to score this. He hadn't done much when he came onto the pitch, and he looked like short of confidence. He didn't look really to know what he was going to do, and it's a terrible penalty. It's a really bad penalty, and he's had those moments before. I don't know. He was not clear about whether he would continue or not. I think De La Fuente and the players probably would want him to continue, but it seems that it's an ordeal for him every time he plays, whether they win or not. He doesn't seem to be able to catch a break. People are always on his back.
Is it a big deal that Oyarzabal plays a different position week in, week out with his club most of the time, and then he's asked to play center forward? I mean, is there an issue with a lack of depth in Spain at center forward?
I don't think so. I think Oyarzabal played probably more as a 9 than even wide for Real Sociedad. You've got Samu, who's on the back of a really good season at Porto, who's not ready because he's still young and raw. You can see that, but he can do a good job.
Very
Dani Olmo
different
can play.
player from
Yeah,
Morata.
very different. Yeah, and Oyarzabal and Olmo, to be fair. So they've got different profiles there on whatever they want to do, which goes back to the point that you were making earlier. They can beat you in different ways. They can play in different ways. They have profiles that help them play in different ways, which is very interesting. But I don't know. I wonder if Morata even fancies being there.
Yeah, the reason I'm not 100% on this is Omorodion scoring goals for a bad Porto team this season doesn't necessarily impress me. And you're right. He's very, very raw. I don't even know that he has developed the subtlety yet to play for this Spanish team. He's still young, right?
Yeah, and he's in the squad, so he's coming on.
He's learning and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just like, because you have to have somebody there, right? Oyarzabal, again, sure, but it is a makeshift solution. Some solution that won you the Euros. It is an unusual solution. You like to have an alternative. Dani Olmo center forward. I have argued for Barcelona, like, Dani Olmo could be the backup, should have been like a backup center forward to Lewandowski last season. That it didn't happen, and Hansi Flick, who works with him every day, chose not to use him in that way, to me says a lot.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe he knows, because I'm going to assume Hansi Flick knows more about Barcelona than I do. So, to me, putting these things together, I just wonder, you don't want to be in an Omorodion or bust situation, right? Where you just have those two, Omorodion and Oyarzabal. That's why, for now at least, you keep Morata around. And then if somebody emerges over the course of the season, fine.